Alright everyone, Supreme Kami here, and we are going to be taking a look at number 3 of the build project material here. So this time around we are going to be getting the Shining Gundam, and then in terms of the actual pilot, we are going to be getting the Banagher Link civilian close version of it. So just judging by this one, in terms of the overall roster, we only have 6 parts to be getting, and then obviously, this is going to be like a whole month long build project, kind of like a campaign, if you will. So in terms of in total, we will be able to get 20 of the material from now until July 14. So in terms of all these parts over here, like what part should I even be exchanging for? In terms of the pilot, I'm just going to tell you guys, do not go for the Banagher because he's not that great, obviously he does have that dual type job license, so it might seem on paper he's really good, but in practicality, if we do go ahead and take a look at his alteration, oh boy, he is definitely an F. I mean, like on release, I thought he was really good because I thought you can use both at the same time, but it was not. So let me see where he's at. So we're gonna filter everything by unicorn series, and let me filter by pilot as well if I can. Alright, pilot wise here, so Banagher links. So in terms of this one, it does have its a permanent alteration, so you don't need to worry about limited time badges whatsoever. So let's kind of take a look and see how is the after alteration. So stat wise, it's not that bad, in terms of like the dual type stat. So 6k for your melee and then 7k for your shot, so not too bad. Defense value, they are pretty much going to be similar. So in terms of how they designed it back then, the defense is definitely taking a major toll. So if we talk about in today's meta, where you have all those gears, like specifically that change gear that allow you to kind of get that 40% off your defensive stat, this is definitely not cutting it. So portrait wise, you guys should definitely take a look right now, and you guys can let me know what is like the major flaw, like what is the biggest problem that we are seeing here. If you guys can guess, this is in terms of the requirement for both those traits. One is requiring a middle shooter job, and then the other one is asking for an outfighter job. So on a technical build, you cannot safely run both those portrait or those job license. So yeah, so this is gonna be one of those situations. I feel like if you guys do have those standard 4-star pilot, I think they will just be a lot more better than this one. Because if you are just gonna run either or, for example, you're pretty much gonna be like the same thing as those standard pilot, only one portrait available, and yeah, it's just really unfortunate. So that's why I feel like Banagher, like no, there's no way you want to get this one, unless the options like you're like the biggest Banagher fans, for example, you don't care, like you can get off for him, it doesn't really matter. But if you're talking about like how usable they are, he's just not. So that's why Banagher, in terms of me personally, I would definitely not get him. Just not really worth it. Just not wasting your 5 material on him instead. So in terms of the other part we are looking at, let's take a look at the Shining Gundam. Where is he at? Let me filter this by G Gundam, or the G fighter right here. So right here, so Shining Gundam, so I can actually alter every single part because originally this is, if you want to talk about how many times it has actually rerun, I believe this is actually I don't know, maybe 3rd or 4th time already, if you're not talking about the pay to get version of it. So let's kind of take a look. So we do have 5 parts in total, 2 EX skill, 3 portraits. So let's see what's going on. Head port, how are we doing? So here are going to be the following set. Kind of do keep that in mind in terms of this one specifically. This is the build project part, so it does have the ability to go up to 7 stars. So if you guys are planning to get some good melee tag unit, for example, or just like a melee build, I feel like this one being like this like the backbone for your build, it's definitely quite good. You have the premium tag right here, mobile fighter, and then close combat. So I'm definitely sure you guys can make something out of it. Portrait wise, I think it would say otherwise in a way. So to begin things off over here, in terms of the condition, you do have to be running a mobile fighter, so that's actually pretty much easy to satisfy. And then secondary portrait, it's only going to be applicable to your arm EX skills. So if you guys don't care about that, for example, you can definitely go for it. But if you guys are like, I want something that's a little bit more generic where all my EX skill can benefit, I guess you would have to do some sub-sorting to kind of get something else. So definitely the portrait, I would have to say has definitely aged by now, but you know, in terms of the stat, what we're looking at, this is like a free 7-star part, so not bad overall for the actual head, like 40k and then 60k for the defense, so it's not too bad overall. So torso, what are we looking at? So torso wise here, stat is actually quite good. It's just missing that portion of that beam resistant, which is doesn't really matter all that much. Armor is pretty high, and then melee attack is 5k. That's actually pretty respectable. It's probably something I will kind of see in today's release, I will have to say. Defensive stat, you know, on that kind of lower side of it. I think I don't know if any torso has reached 8k to 9k yet for. I think I've seen some already. So yeah, this is kind of like, you know, not kind of like mid tier, I guess. You know, not too strong, not too weak. You know, it's just there. You know. EXQ. So yeah, so we're gonna have the super mode, which is like, if you ask me, I would just probably tell you guys don't even try to get the torso because it's just probably not that much worth it. I think I mean, like, the only redeeming factor is like this one does come with the EX, or no, this one does come with mobile fighter, so essentially that is something you will like for like your melee build, for example. It's a pretty good part overall, but I don't know, let's kind of take a look at the other part first. Like, I would say this one is not the most important part because like it doesn't have a portrait, so not really that worth it at the point in time. So Arm part, what about the stats? So 13,000 paired it up with like a 7k melee defense. It's not that high, man. Come on. Yeah. EX skill wise, so we do have a shining finger. So this one, in terms of the actual animation, this one is literally exactly the same as the what is it? The red frame Astray. The lightning bolt is literally the same thing. So I don't know if any of you guys would actually even get this one, just because like the EXQ animation is literally the same. It's like a Russian grab attack, so it's not really that clean cut. For example, like you would expect this one to, like, you know, build project part, they would definitely invest into a little bit more in terms of EXQ. Like, this is like, we're talking about back in the day. So like back in the day, before the game has, you know, gone down to this kind of like a fiasco, for example. You would think they would actually do some sort of like a crazy animation, but no, they just want to recycle like I don't know if it's like an actual recycle because I have not used it in quite a while, but I'll definitely do EXQ showcase towards the end of the video. But I mean, like, they could have definitely done something better, but nope, they want to go for like a 20-second or like a 21-second cooldown, like an A+ power EXQ, and bam. I would dare say, in terms of the standard version, the P attribute Shining Gundam's Arm, that one has a better EXQ because at least you're getting some flashy cutscene, I guess. So I mean, like, yeah, this one is definitely not having it. So if I were you guys, I would not pick the arm part because you know, ideally what we want an arm that has a good portrait. So this one definitely does not fit the budget. But I mean, like, if you guys don't have anything, for example, you can kind of go for this one. But I mean, like, if you guys have better options out there already, I would say skip on this one. Moving over to the link, what are we looking at? So style wise is a pretty, you know, it's pretty average overall. 4k on that melee attack is actually lowballing it. Defensive wise, I say it's still holding up okay-ish. But other than that, it's like all the other stats are just kind of, you know, kind of here and there overall. So in terms of the actual portrait, we have those EXQ reduced by 20%, and then exclusively to the tech attribute EXQ power boosted by 35%. So this one is a pretty generic one over here. I don't think there's any much to explain about. If you guys have any of these EXQ reduced fully maxed out already, this is definitely not the part to invest in. So that's that. But I mean, if you guys do purely want the mobile fighter, this is not a bad choice overall. So, alright, last but not least, we do have the backpack. I feel like the backpack is still holding up pretty good to this day. You're still getting a double melee power boosting, so it's still technically okay. If you're talking about like, oh, this is like being like a free to play back in the day build project, so it's not bad overall. but this one is going to lock you up to a specifically tag attribute, so that's definitely something to worry about. Now, mobile war tag is going to be mobile fighter and then pro tag once again. Kind of keep that in mind. This one is a 7-star available, so if we do take a look at the original, original, kind of like the Shining Gundam. I just want to see what the original has. I don't know if we ever had pro tag on the original one, so that's why I do want to take a look real quick. The original one is going to be the P attribute, so let's see what's going on here. So mobile fighter is definitely going to be a must-have, and then the other one, what do we have for the other one? No pro tag at all. So I was gonna say maybe you guys can 7-star the build project version of it and then get pro tag, but looks like you cannot get it either way. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, I guess, in a way. So if you're talking about what kind of part you guys should be exchanging for, given the fact that you only have 20 material, and then you probably, in terms of like how much you want to exchange for, you're probably down to only 3 parts being like ultimately exchanging for. Because at the end of the day, you do kind of keep that in mind. You do have to kind of use those kind of material to exchange for L badges as well. So I feel like if you talk about only 3 parts, I would say backpack is definitely like a must-have. For example, even like the head part and then the leg part, I think those are definitely a mandatory. In terms of those EXQ base, I think they can definitely be replaced in a way, or not even. Hold up, never mind. Because in terms of these 2 slots specifically, they are pretty much going to be covered by our battle log, blazing them. So if we do take a look at the kind of like the blazing them, for example, I'm pretty sure blazing could be something you guys are ready to have. For example, if you purely care about having a mobile fighter tag, for example, blazing definitely got your back right there. Backpack, leg part, I believe does have it. So if you guys have these 2 following parts, for example, I would have to say, if you like I said again, trying to get that mobile fighter tag, definitely go for the first 3 options, because this one right here does not have access to mobile fighter, if I recall. They're close combat, high firepower, and same thing again. So yeah, if you guys are purely going for some actual mobile fighter, in the conjunction of you having blazing, for example, I would definitely say go for the head, body, and an arm. I think that should be a pretty decent choice. So because you're still getting that mobile fighter, so it's overall pretty good. But maybe the arm part you don't really need it, because at the end of the day you only need 5 active war tag to actually get mobile fighter up. So I would say put mobile fighter tag pilot onto a subset of any pilot you have, for example, and that should be able to clear you up some space to get mobile fighter elsewhere. Arm part, I would still say dedicated to like an actual good part that had good part tree, and then subslot it with like big scale, or if your part is a big scale already, try to subslot something that matches as a vortex to gain some better stat. But overall, it's pretty decent, because we are only looking at 5 parts, so there's not really much to kind of decide about. The build project pilot, but Banagher definitely not a good choice at all. So that's why we are pretty much down to this unit itself. So that's why I would say leg part, torso, and then basically the first 3 if you guys do have blazing. If not, I would say head part, leg part, and then backpack. And then in terms of those part of EXQ base, for example, I would definitely hold off onto it. So I think that's pretty much it in terms of just going over the Shining Gundam here. So let me hop into a quick showcase of the EXQ. In terms of what I want to do, I'm actually going to be putting on this build that I did for yesterday's video. Yesterday I was talking about like doing like the actual melee guy. So let's actually use this build. So we're going to utilize all the stats. This one is actually Burning Gundam. So this one is pretty much basing off from the Burning Gundam, which eventually you guys will be able to exchange for, just like the Shining Gundam is right now. So in terms of some of the portrait, I definitely do have to replace a little bit of it. Obviously, because in terms of how bad the army EXQ is, arm EXQ is not even giving you like an actual attack buffing. So in terms of the overall portrait, I have to remove some of the actual buff EXQ effects, because look at this, lowering your enemy gunpla physical resistance by 30%. Like, come on. Yeah, this is like another reason why not to go for it, just because like this is kind of like completely trash in a way. In my opinion, it's just really unfortunate. So let me do change up a little bit in terms of this build. I'm trying to proctor in all those actual buff, like take away all those buff traits, and then we'll try to see how much power we can do with just strictly EX skill power boosting and then melee power boosting, and we'll definitely see. So I'll probably hop into like a friend battle to kind of get that number. So let me hop over to a friend battle, and then we'll see what kind of output we can get. Alright, so I lie. I didn't need to change up the build at all because in terms of all those buff traits, I can actually maintain them. Because look, I have Shining Bow or Super Bow, so I can just actually activate that and then change that into the Shining Finger, and we'll see what kind of output we can get. So this is going to be doing a type neutral, or not type neutral, type advantage. So we'll definitely see what kind of output we can get. So also have a Domokashi at the pilot as well, so we can actually get some of the force light going on. So let's see what we can do. Alright, so we are in. Going to activate. First thing first, let's activate this. Ooh, look at that shiny or super mode. Activate the limit break, and then we'll chain that in. And what is that? Okay, that was at 1.4 million because we just had too much power. This is also a like an alterator. So I'll show you guys what mine is looking like in terms of the overall stats. Alright, so this is my tech attributes, a shining Gundam right here. So you guys can see that I actually did alter mine already. It's 6-star whatsoever. Originally I actually got like a few copies of this one over here, and you know what I did back in the day? I made the same mistake you guys did, like what I see people do. So basically what I did back then, I thought this is like the pro gaming move, right? I got both arms, and I was like, you know what, how to get the highest stat possible? Do this. But what I failed to do, I failed to actually get some power boosting. So even though I have this monstrous stat on paper, but in game, like in actual battle, for example, output wise, it just wasn't there. So definitely don't do that. I was even planning to just feed the sub slot into the main slot for an additional EX skill boosting it there, but I'm just like, I'm just gonna leave it there. So in terms of mine right now, we are sitting at EX skill level 4, so that's why you were able to see some 1.4 million in conjunction with the buffs. So if I didn't use the shiny or the super mode, I would dare say I would not even get up to like a 10 million mark. So definitely activating that, and then in conjunction with all those buff effects, so definitely was able to help with that much. So that being said, that's gonna be pretty much it. So do let me know which part of the Shining Gundam you guys are going to be exchanging for, and then in terms of the the build project pilot, the Banagher, do let me know if you guys are just gonna skip out on him this time around and then wait for the next iteration, like the next one for example, to secure yourself a build project pilot, or you guys gonna get him right now. I believe Shinasuke should be coming in either next one or the following one. He is also gonna be a dual type pilot, and he is gonna be 10 times better in terms of the portrait conditions. So if you guys don't mind waiting for him, I would definitely suggest you guys to wait for the Shinasuke first a little bit, because he is gonna be I believe he's a middle shooter. I think the same job lessons again, but with a better set of vortex, so or portrait. So that being said, that's gonna be pretty much it, and then I'll catch you guys on the next one.